Hi students, we'll continue with the objective material. Right? So in the last class we have completed 18 problems. Coming to the 19th question. So from here the questions will be based on solubility, vapor pressure and Raoult's law. Right? Question number 19. The solubility of a gas in water at 300 Kelvin under a pressure of 100 atmospheres is 4 into 10 power minus 3 kg per liter. Therefore, the mass of the gas in kg dissolved in 250 ml of water under a pressure of 250 atmospheres at 300 Kelvin is. So here, under two different conditions of pressure, two different solubilities are given. So according to Henry's law, we know that. So with a change in pressure, solubility also changes. And solubility is directly proportional to pressure. So if we go on increasing the pressure, solubility of the gas also goes on increasing. So solubility of the gas is directly proportional to pressure. So for two different conditions, S1 by S2 will be equal to P1 by P2. So the first solubility they are telling is 4 into 10 power minus 3 kg per liter is the solubility initially when the pressure is 180, and we need to calculate the solubility when the pressure is 250 atmospheres. Okay, so from this we can calculate the solubility. So how much will get? 0. So 25 into 4 is 100. 100 into 10 power minus 3 will be 10 power minus 1. So the value of x will be 10 power minus 2 kg per liter. This is the solubility. But they are asking the solubility in 250 ml of water. Here we got the solubility for 1 liter of water, right? Then for 250 ml, solubility in 250 ml of water will be 10 power minus 2 by 250 ml is nothing but 1 by 4 liter, right? So 10 power minus 2 by 4. So that is 1 by 4 is 0.25 into 10 power minus 2. So that is 2.5 into 10 power minus 3 kg. So this will be the solubility of the gas in 250 ml of water. So the answer will be option A. So they have given two different pressures. When the pressure is 100 atm, the solubility is 4 into 10 power minus 3 kg per liter. This was given. We need to calculate the solubility when the pressure is 250 atm. So solubility is directly proportional to pressure. So S1 by S2 is equal to P1 by P2. So we will calculate the solubility at a pressure of 250 atmospheres. So this is the solubility we got, 10 power minus 2 kg per liter. But they are asking the solubility in 250 ml of water. So in 250 ml of water, this will be 1 by 4. Right? So 10 power minus 2 by 4. So the solubility will be 2.5 into 10 power minus 3 kg. Right? Coming to the next question. Question number 20. The millimoles of nitrogen gas that will dissolve in 1 liter of water at 298 Kelvin when it is bubbled through water and has a partial pressure of 0.96 bars will be. So write down the given information first. So partial pressure is given as 0.96 bars. This is the pressure given. KH value of nitrogen gas is also given. KH of nitrogen gas, Henry's constant, is given as 76.8 kilobars. So this is in bars, this is in kilobars. Either you convert this into kilobars or this into bars. So how much you will get this value? 76.8 into 10 power 3 bar. This is the value of KH given. Now what they are asking, how many millimoles of nitrogen gas will dissolve in 1 liter of water? So the volume of water is given as 1 liter. So volume of water, for water density is 1, so the mass will be 1 kg, which is nothing but 1000 grams. For water density is 1 gram per ml, so 1 liter will be equal to 1 kg, which is 1000 grams. This is the mass of water. So they are asking how many moles of nitrogen gas will be dissolved. So by applying Henry's law, so according to Henry's law, partial pressure of any gas will be equal to KH of the gas into mole fraction of the gas. So just substitute the values here, we'll get the number of moles of nitrogen can be calculated. So partial pressure of nitrogen is given as 0.96. kH of the gas is 76.8 into 10 power 3 into mole fraction of nitrogen is number of moles of nitrogen by total moles of nitrogen. I need to calculate the number of moles of nitrogen by number of moles of nitrogen plus number of moles of water. Number of moles of water, mass we know it is 1000 by molar mass. Mass by molar mass. So this value can be neglected when compared to this value, because we know that gases will be having very less solubility in water, right? So this value comes out to be very less when compared to this. So this can be neglected with respect to this. So on solving this we'll get. So this value 1000 by 18 will be 55.5. So number of moles of nitrogen will be 0.96 into 55.5 by 76.8 into 10 power. So if we simplify this, we'll get the number of moles of nitrogen gas. So on calculation, we'll get number of moles of nitrogen as 69.3 into 10 power 5 moles. This will be the number of moles of nitrogen gas, but they are asking millimoles, right? So to calculate millimoles, so we'll be multiplying it with 10 power minus 3, right? So on solving, we'll get it as 0.693 millimoles. So this will be the number of millimoles of nitrogen gas soluble in 1 liter of water. Coming to the next question, question number 21. When a gas is bubbled through water at 298 Kelvin, a very dilute solution of the gas is obtained. Henry's law constant for the gas is 100 kilobars. So kH for the gas is given as 100 kilobars. If the gas exerts a partial pressure of 1 bar, partial pressure of the gas is given as 1 bar. So this is in bars, this is in kilobars. So convert this into bars. That is 100 into 10 power 3, which is 10 power 5 bars. The number of millimoles of nitrogen gas dissolved in 1 liter of water. So similar to that of the previous problem. So I need to calculate the number of moles of the gas dissolved in 1 liter of water. That means mass of water is 1 liter, that is 1000 grams. So by applying Henry's law, so partial pressure is equal to kH into mole fraction of the gas. So partial pressure of the gas is 1 bar. kH value of the gas is 10 power 5. Mole fraction of gas is number of moles of gas by total number of moles. I can neglect the number of moles with respect to water. So water will be 1000 by 18. So that is 55.5. So number of moles of gas will be 55.5 by 10 power 5, which is 55.5 into 10 power minus 5. This will be the number of moles of the gas. But they are asking millimoles. So to convert moles into millimoles, multiply it with 10 power 3. Right? So number of millimoles of the gas will be equal to 55.5 into 10 power minus 5 into 10 power 3. So this will be 0.55 millimoles. So the answer will be option A. Coming to the next question, question number 22. A solution has 1:4 mole ratio of pentane to hexane. So number of moles of pentane by number of moles of hexane. So the mole ratio is given as 1:4. The vapor pressures of the pure hydrocarbons at 20 degrees centigrade are. So the vapor pressures of the two hydrocarbons are given. So P naught of pentane is 440 mm and P naught of hexane is 120 mm. So they are asking you to calculate mole fraction of pentane in vapor phase. So whenever I tell the mole fraction vapor phase, I'll be denoting with the symbol Y. So they're asking to calculate mole fraction of pentane in vapor phase. So by using Raoult's law and Dalton's law, already we derived the relation between those two to calculate the mole fraction in vapor phase. So what is the formula to calculate the mole fraction of any component in vapor phase? So mole fraction of any component in vapor phase, A is the component, will be equal to PA0 XA by total pressure. This is the formula to calculate mole fraction of any component in vapor phase. This will obtain by combining Raoult's law and Dalton's law. So mole fraction of a component A will be equal to PA0 into XA. What is XA? XA is the mole fraction in solution. YA is the mole fraction in vapor phase by total pressure P. So total pressure P is equal to PA0 XA plus PB0 XB. So we will calculate total pressure P by using this formula. XA and PA0 can be calculated from the given information. First let us calculate what is the total pressure P here. So total pressure P is equal to, let us consider pentane as A and hexane as B. So total pressure P will be equal to PA0 XA plus PB0 XB. So PA0 is for pentane. So for pentane it is 440 into mole fraction. So number of moles of pentane is 1 by total number of moles. Total number of moles will be 5 here. So it will be 1 by 5 plus PB0 is for hexane. So for hexane the vapor pressure is 120 into mole fraction of B. Number of moles of hexane is 4. Total number of moles is 5. So this if we simplify, we will get the value of P. So what is the value we will get here? 88 plus 2 is 10, 24. 24 into 4, 96. So 90 plus 80 is 170. 178 plus 6, 184 mm. So the total vapor pressure of the solution will be 184 mm. Right? So substitute the given values in this form. So YA, so A is pentane, right? So PA0 into XA. Already for pentane we calculated the value of PA0 into XA. So PA0 XA value is 88. By total pressure P is 184. So if you simplify this, you will get the mole fraction of pentane in vapor phase. So it will be 0.2. Sorry, not 0.2, 0.478. So if you simplify this, you will get the value as 0.478, which is option B. Hope this is clear. From the given information, you need to know this formula to calculate the mole fraction in vapor phase. So that is PA0 into XA by total pressure. Right? So where the total pressure is PA0 XA plus PB0 XB. So substitute the values and you will get the answer. Coming to the next question, question number 23. If two substances A and B have PA0 and PB0 in the ratio of 1:2. So PA0 by PB0 ratio is given as 1:2 and have mole fractions in solution in the ratio of 1:2. So in solution, that means XA by XB. The ratio of mole fractions in solution XA by XB is given as 1:2. Now they are asking to calculate mole fraction of A in vapors. So mole fraction of A in vapors means YA I need to calculate. So you know the formula to calculate YA. So mole fraction of A in vapors is equal to PA0 XA plus PB0 XB by, YA is equal to PA0 XA by total pressure. And total pressure can be calculated as PA0 XA plus PB0 XB. So first let us calculate the total pressure. So the total pressure P is equal to, so what is PA0? 1 into mole fraction of A is also 1 plus PB0 value is 2 into mole fraction of B is also 2. So this value will be 1 plus 4, that is 5. So the total vapor pressure of the solution is 5. And we know the value of P naught XA also, that is 1. So the mole fraction of A in vapor phase is equal to, so P naught XA, the value is 1 by total pressure P, the value is 5. So 1 by 5 is 0. So mole fraction of A in vapors will be 0. Similar to that of previous problem. So calculation of mole fraction in vapor phase. Coming to the next question. Question number 24. Two liquids X and Y form an ideal solution. The mixture has a vapor pressure of 400 mm at 300 Kelvin when mixed in the molar ratio of 1:1. So number of moles of X by number of moles of Y, the ratio is 1:1. When they are mixed in this ratio, they are telling that the total pressure is 400 mm. The total pressure is 400 mm. And a vapor pressure of 350 mm when mixed in the molar ratio of 1:2. Right? So when they are mixed in the molar ratio of 1:2, the total pressure is given as 350 mm. Total pressure is 350 mm. The vapor pressures of the two pure liquids X and Y. That means we need to calculate P naught of X and P naught of Y. So pure liquids vapor pressures we need to calculate. So I will consider X as A and Y as B. So in this case, first case, this is case 1 and this is case 2. In the first case, we know the total pressure P is equal to P naught XA plus PB naught XB. So what is the total pressure in the first case? 400 ml is equal to. So we need to calculate the value of P naught. What is the mole fraction of A? Number of moles of A is 1 by total number of moles will be 2. So P naught into 1 by 2 plus PB naught value also we need to calculate into mole fraction of B also will be 1 by 2. So from this we will get 800 is equal to PA naught plus PB naught. 800 is equal to PA naught plus PB naught. Let this be equation number 1. From the second case. So in the second case, the same way. Total pressure P is equal to PA naught XA plus PB naught XB. So total pressure is given as 350 is equal to. So PA naught we need to calculate. What is the mole fraction of A here? Number of moles is 1. Total number of moles will be 3. 1 by 3 plus PB naught value we need to calculate. Mole fraction of B. Number of moles is 2. Total number of moles is 3. So 350 is equal to 350 into 3. This 3 will be going this side. So 350 into 3 will be equal to PA naught plus 2 PB naught. So this value will be 1050 is equal to PA naught plus 2 PB naught. This is equation number 2. So if I subtract these two equations, 2 minus 1 if I do. 2 minus 1. Right? So what do you get? So PA naught and PA naught gets cancelled out. 1050 minus 800 will be 250. 2 PB naught minus 1 PB naught will be PB naught. So PB naught value is 250. So substitute the value of PB naught in equation 1. You will get the value of PA naught. So what will be the value of PA naught here? So the value of PA naught will be 800 minus 250. So 800 minus 250 will be 550. So we assumed X as A and Y as B here. So P and P naught X will be 550 and P naught Y will be 250. So the answer will be option D. Coming to the next question, question number 25. Two liquids X and Y form an ideal solution. At 300 Kelvin, vapor pressure of the solution containing 1 mole of X and 3 mole of Y is on 550 mm Hg. Right? At the same temperature, if 1 mole of Y is further added to this solution, vapor pressure of the solution increases by 10 ml. what will be the vapor pressures of X and Y in their pure states. Right? Suppose if I take the first solution, so in the first solution, number of moles of X, again X I'll take it as A, Y I'll take it as B, right? So number of moles of X, that is A, is 3, is 1. And the number of moles of Y, that is B, is 3. In this case, they are telling the total pressure is 550 mm. 550 mm. Now what we are doing? At the same temperature, 1 mole of Y is further added. So to this solution, 1 mole of Y is added. So Y means B here. So 1 mole of B is further added. So by adding 1 mole of B, there will not be any change in the number of moles of A. It will remain as 1. And what will be the number of moles of B here? There are already 3 moles. 1 mole is further added, so it becomes 4 moles. In this case, what is the pressure? They are telling pressure increases by 10 mm. So initially it was 550 plus 10. So it becomes 560. 560. Now they are asking to calculate vapor pressures of X and Y in their pure state. That means PA0 and PB0. PA0 is X, B is Y. Right? So this value we need to calculate. So as we solve the last problem, in the same way we will get 2 equations here. So by solving those 2 equations, we will get the values of PA0 and PB0. In the first case, total pressure P is equal to PA0 XA plus PB0 XB. So total pressure of the solution is 550 mm is equal to, so PA0 value I need to calculate mole fraction of A, number of moles of A by total number of moles. So it is 1 by 4 plus PB0 into number of moles of B by total number of moles, that is 3 by 4. So this will be 550 into 4 is equal to PA0 plus 3 PB0. So 550 into 4 is 2200 will be equal to PA0 plus 3 PB0. This is equation number 1. In the same way, for second solution I will calculate and I will get one equation here. So for second solution, P is equal to PA0 XA plus PB0 XB. So what is the total pressure? 560. So 560 is equal to PA0 into, so mole fraction of A is number of moles of A by total number of moles, 5. So it is 1 by 5 plus PB0 into mole fraction of B, number of moles of B by total number of moles. So it is 4 by 5. 4 by 5. So this value will be 560 into 5 is equal to PA0 plus 4 PB0. So 560 into 5 is 2800 is equal to PA0 plus 4 PB0. So this will be equation number 2. Then subtracting these two equations, 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1, right? So on 2 minus 1, 2800 minus 2200 will be 600 is equal to, so P0 and P0 gets cancelled out. 4 PB0 minus 3 PB0 will be PB0. So PB0 value is 600. So once you know the value of PB0, I can calculate the value of P0. So substituting this in equation 1. So what we get? 2200 is equal to PA0 plus 3 PB0. 3 into 600, which will be 1800. So the value of PA0 will be 2200 minus 1800, which is 400. So PA0 is 400 and PB0 will be 600. So 400 and 600 must be the answer. So it will be option C. Coming to the next question, question number 26. An open beaker containing a pure solvent and a second beaker containing a solution of the same solvent with a non-volatile solute are sealed in a container over a period of time, what happens? So we are having a sealed container. This is a sealed container and they are placing two beakers in this container. They are placing two beakers in the container. They are telling that in the first beaker there is only pure solvent. There is only pure solvent. And in the second beaker there is a solution, and in this solution the solute is non-volatile and the solvent is volatile. Right? And the solvent is the same as that of the first beaker. Now this is a pure solvent, so definitely at a particular temperature this will be having a fixed value of vapor pressure. Let the vapor pressure of this will be PA naught. And in this solution also we are having the same solvent, so this also will be having some vapor pressure, but the value will be less when compared to that of pure solvent, and let the value of vapor pressure be P. So as we know that vapor pressure of pure solvent will always be greater than the vapor pressure of solution. So this will be having more vapor pressure, so more vapor of this solvent will be present here, right? So it will go stick to the walls of the container and again it will condense. So as this will be having more vapor pressure, so more amount of this will be evaporating, right? And the volume of the pure solvent will be decreasing in this container, in this beaker. And so when this solvent go, it gets stick to the walls of the container, again it will be condensing. So on condensing, what happens? Some more solvent will be added to this solution. So what happens to the volume of this solution? Increases. So during this process, what happens? Volume of the pure solvent will be decreasing and the volume of the solution will be increasing, because this will be having higher vapor pressure. There is more chance that so this can condense, and again it will be condensing into the solution. So volume of the solution will be increasing, whereas the volume of the pure solvent goes on decreasing. So it will be option D, volume of solution will increase and the volume of solvent will decrease. Coming to the next question, question number 27. The relative lowering of vapor pressure of an aqueous solution containing non-volatile solute is 0.0125. What will be the molality of the solution? So relative lowering in vapor pressure is given as 0.0125. So we know that relative lowering in vapor pressure is P naught minus P by P naught. So whose value will be equal to mole fraction of solute, and this is given as 0.0125. So I need to calculate the molality of this solution. Okay. So from this given information I need to calculate molality. So relative lowering in vapor pressure is nothing but equal to mole fraction of solute whose value is 0.0125, and we know that mole fraction of solute is number of moles of solute by total number of moles of the solution will be equal to 0.0125. I'll reverse this. So you will get Na plus Nb by Nb is equal to 1 by 0.0125. So this value will be Na by Nb plus 1. So 1 by 0.0125 value is 80. 1 by 0.01 value, 0.125 value is 80. So from this, Na by Nb value will be equal to 79. Now what they are asking? They are asking to calculate molality. So how will you define molality? Molality is number of moles of solute present per kg of solvent. So whenever I tell per kg of solvent, so I can calculate the number of moles of the solvent, and the solvent is water here, it is aqueous solution. So mass will be 1000 grams, molar mass of water is 18, so I will get the number of moles of the solvent. So number of moles of A will be 1000 by 18 by Nb will be equal to 79. Then from this, what will be the value of Nb? So the value of Nb will be 1000 by 18 into 79. So if you simplify this value, so you will get it as, you will get it around 0.7. So this is nothing but molality, because 0.7 moles of the solute is present in 1 kg of solvent, which is nothing but molality. So the molality will be 0.7. So the answer will be option A. Coming to the next question. Question number 28. If at certain temperature, vapor pressure of pure water is 25 mm of Hg. So P naught value is given as 25 mm. And that of a very dilute solution containing urea is 24.5 mmHg. So vapor pressure of solution is given as 24.5 mm. The molality of the solution is. They are asking to calculate the molality of the solution. So again, the same way we solved in the previous problem, we can use the same method. Right? So once you know P naught as well as P, we can calculate relative lowering in vapor pressure. So that is P naught minus P by P naught is equal to mole fraction of solute. So mole fraction of solute is again number of moles of solute by total number of moles of solution. So P naught value is given as 25 minus P by P value is given as 24.5 by P naught value is 25, which is equal to number of moles of solute. I don't know how many moles are present, by number of moles of solvent. So again they are telling it is aqueous solution of urea. So number of moles of solvent, mass I considered as 1000 grams because I need to calculate molality. Number of moles of solute present per kg, 1000 grams. So number of moles of A will be 1000 by 18 plus number of moles of solvent. Now in the question they have mentioned that it is very dilute solution. So whenever I tell very dilute solution, the number of moles of solute will be very less in comparison to that of solvent. So that means I can neglect the number of moles of solute with respect to the number of moles of solvent. So if you solve this, 24 minus 0, this will be 25 minus 24.5 will be 0.5 by 25 will be equal to, this value will be 55.5. So NB by 55 point. So what will be the number of moles of solute? So this value will be 0.5 into 55.5 by 25. So this if you simplify, you will get it as 1.11. You will get as 1.11, right? So this is the number of moles of solute present in 1 kg of the solvent, which is nothing but molality. Right? So the molality of the solution is 1.11. Coming to the next question, question number 29. At a certain temperature, pure liquid A and liquid B have vapor pressures 10 and 37 torr respectively. So P naught value is 10 torr and the PB naught value is 37 torr. For a certain ideal solution of A and B, the vapors in equilibrium with the liquid has the components A and B in the partial pressure ratio PA is to PB, which is 1:7. So PA by PB, this is the vapor pressure of solutions, right? So which is equal to 1/7. The mole fraction of A in the solution. So they are asking you to calculate the value of XA. We need to calculate the value of XA, right? So this ratio is given here. PA by PB is equal to 1/7. So from this, I can tell that the value of PB is equal to 7 times that of PA. Then, so what will be the value of PA? We know that PA is equal to PA naught into XA. So we know the value of PA naught, right? And we need to calculate the value of PA. Okay. So this value will be equal to PA naught is 10. 10 into mole fraction of A. In the same way, PB is equal to PB naught into XB. So what is the value of PB naught? 37 into. So they are asking only mole fraction of solvent, but not mole fraction of solute. So I will convert this mole fraction of solute in terms of solvent. So we know the total mole fraction of the solution will always be equal to 1. So the value of XB will be 1 minus XA. So the value of PB will be 37 into 1 minus XA. And this value of PB is given as 7 PA. So that I'll substitute here. So what you will get on substitution of value of PB here? So you get 7 PA is equal to 37 into 1 minus XC. 7 PA is equal to 37 into 1 minus XC. So they are asking to calculate the value of XA here, right? And the value of PA is again 10 XA. So I can substitute the value of PA also here. So 7 into 10 XA will be 70 XA, which is equal to 37 minus 37 XA. So sending this 37 XA this side. So 30 plus 70 plus 37 will be 107. 107 XA will be equal to 37. So XA value will be 37 by 107. So if you simplify this, you will get as 0.346. This is the mole fraction of A in solution. They have given P0, PB0. They have given the vapor pressure ratio as 1:7. So this I write as PB is equal to 7 times that of PA, because here I have only mole fraction of solvent to be calculated. So vapor pressure of B also I will be writing in terms of A. Okay. So we know that PA is equal to PA0 into XA. PA0 value is 10 into XA. I need to calculate. In the same way, PB is equal to PB0 into XB, where PB0 is 37 into XB. I am writing it as 1 minus XA. So instead of PB, I can write the value as 7XPA. And again, PA value is equal to 10 times that of XA. So 7 into 10 XA will be 70 XA. So simplifying this, you will get the mole fraction of solvent as 0.346. Coming to the next question, question number 30. For an ideal binary liquid solution with PA0 greater than PB0. So the given condition is, so liquid A is having more vapor pressure when compared to liquid B. Which relation between XA and YA is correct? So relation between XA and YA, they have given different relations. We need to identify which relation is correct. Where XA is mole fraction of A in solution and YA is mole fraction of A in vapor phase. XA is mole fraction of A in solution, YA is mole fraction of A in vapor phase. Right? Now see. So as they are talking about vapor phase, one is the mole fraction vapor phase, other one is the mole fraction liquid phase. First we need to know what is the relation between those two. Right? So for A, mole fraction of A in vapor phase is equal to PA0 into XA by total pressure, and mole fraction of B in vapor phase is equal to PB0 into XB by total pressure. So mole fraction of A in vapor phase is PA0 into XA by total pressure, where XA is the mole fraction in solution. Similarly, mole fraction of B in vapor phase is equal to PB0 into XB by P, where XB is the mole fraction of B in solution. So if I take the ratio of these two, YA by YB is equal to PA0 XA by P by PB0 XB by P. P gets cancelled out, so we will get it as PA0 XA by PB0 XB. Now see the condition that is given in the question. The condition given is PA0 is greater than PB0. So here we have the ratio of PA0 and PB0. If PA0 is greater than PB0, then the ratio of PA0 by PB0 will definitely be greater than 1. Once this value is more when compared to this, then the ratio will be always greater than 1. So if this value is greater than 1, then the ratio of YA by YB must definitely be greater than that of XA by XB ratio. Is this clear? If PA0 is greater than PB0, then the ratio of PA0 by PB0 will definitely be greater than 1. When this ratio is greater than 1, then the ratio of YA and YB will be some value multiple of this, no? That means this will be greater when compared to this. So that means YA by YB ratio must definitely be greater than that of XA by XB. So this will be the correct relation. So that relation is given in option D. Right? Coming to the next question, question number 31. for an ideal binary liquid mixture. So for an ideal binary liquid mixture, which of the following are correct is the question. Let us see the options given. Option A is given as delta S of mix is 0, delta G of mix is 0. Option B, delta H of mix is 0, delta S of mix is less than 0. Option C, delta V of mix is 0, delta G of mix will be greater than 0. And option D, delta S of mix will be greater than 0, delta G of mix will be less than 0. So which is correct for an ideal solution? So already we studied the characteristics of ideal solution. For an ideal solution, delta H of mix will be equal to 0, delta V on mix will be equal to 0. So total pressure P must be equal to PA naught XA plus PB naught XB, and the value of PA must be equal to PA naught XA, and the value of PB must be equal to PB naught XB, and the interactions between A and B after mixing must be equal to that of interactions before mixing, that is A interactions and BB interactions. So these are the characteristics for an ideal solution, right? So let us go to the first option. Delta S and delta, they are talking about delta S and delta G also. So what do you mean by delta S? Delta S is change in entropy. Now whenever you are getting a solution, what is happening? You are mixing two liquids. So when you mix two liquids, obviously the number of particles in the resultant solution is going to increase. Initially you are having 10 particles of A, 10 particles of B. When you mix, so in the solution there will be totally 20 particles. So number of particles are increasing. When number of particles increases, definitely randomness also will increase. So if randomness is increasing, then delta S of mixing must definitely be greater than 0. Delta S of mixing must be definitely greater than 0. This is true not only for ideal solution, even for non-ideal solution, whether it is showing positive deviation or whether it is showing a negative deviation. Okay, because when you add two substances, definitely number of particles is going to increase. So with the increase in number of particles, the randomness also goes on increasing. Okay, so delta S of mix must be greater than 0 definitely. Then delta G on mixing. So what happens to change in entropy? So when you are mixing two liquids, definitely they will be forming a solution. So that means it is a spontaneous process. So for spontaneous processes, the change in Gibbs energy must be less than 0. So delta G on mixing will be less than 0. Right? So these two are true for any type of solution. These two are true for any type of solution, whether it may be ideal solution or it may be non-ideal solution, whether it is showing positive deviation or negative deviation from Raoult's. Right? So you can check which will be the correct option. So the correct option will be option D. So delta S of mix will be greater than 0, delta G on mixing must be less than 0. And remember this point, this two is true for any type of solution. Coming to the next question, question number 32. Which of the following plot correctly represents the behavior of an ideal binary liquid solution? So which graph will be the correct graph they are asking? So in option C and option D, both are the same here. So you can make a correction. In option C, it must be plot of 1 by XA versus 1 by YA is linear. Plot of 1 by XA versus 1 by YA is linear. So that will be the correct answer actually. So that means if we plot the graph for 1 by XA versus 1 by YA, so it will be a linear graph. So let us see how this will be correct. So option C will be the correct answer. So let us see how this will be correct. XA is the mole fraction of A in solution and YA is the mole fraction of A in vapor phase. So we are talking only about A. So in vapor phase, mole fraction of A is equal to PA naught into XA by total pressure P. Now I need to get the graph between 1 by xa and 1 by ya. So 1 by xa must be on y-axis, 1 by ya must be on x-axis. Right? So let us derive the relation. How will you derive? So ya is equal to, we know that total pressure P is PA naught XA plus PB naught XB. So nowhere we need B, so I'll write mole fraction of B in terms of A. So we'll get Ya is equal to PA naught XA by PA naught XA plus PB naught into 1 minus XA. Right? So mole fraction, total mole fraction is 1. So XB value will be 1 minus XA. So further simplification, Ya value will be equal to PA naught XA by PA naught XA plus PB naught minus PB naught XA. Now PA naught XA we are having, PB naught XA we are having, we can take XA common here. Then you will get Ya is equal to PA naught XA by taking XA common, PB naught will be left out here. So PB naught plus XA into PA naught minus PB naught. This is what you get here. Right? So now what I need to do? I need the value of 1 by Ya. So I will send this Ya this side, and I need 1 by XA, I will send this side. So cross multiplying, right? So what you will get? PB naught plus XA into PA naught minus PB naught by, so if I send this PA naught XA this side, you will get PB naught by PA naught XA so PB naught, this comes this side, PA naught XA by PA naught XA. So must be equal to, right? So this will be equal to 1 by Ya. Will be equal to 1 by Y. So here XA gets cancelled out. Now what will be remaining? 1 by Ya is equal to PB naught by PA naught into 1 by XA plus PA naught minus PB naught by PA naught. Right. So this I got on y-axis. So 1 by XA must be on y-axis, right? So what I do? I will send this side because this must be on y-axis. So on sending this side, you will get PB naught by PA naught into 1 by XA is equal to 1 by Ya minus PA naught minus PB naught by PA naught. But I need only 1 by XA on y-axis, so I will multiply this with PA naught by PB naught. So multiply by PA naught by PB naught. So on both sides I will multiply by PA naught by PB naught. When I multiply it with PA naught by PB naught, this gets cancelled out. So only 1 by XA will be left out. So 1 by XA will be equal to, so 1 by Ya into PA naught by PB naught, PA naught by PB naught into 1 by Ya minus, so if I change this as PB naught plus PA naught, this becomes plus. So plus PB naught minus PA naught by PA naught, this also must be multiplied with PA naught by PB naught. PA naught gets cancelled out. So in the denominator, only PB naught will be left. Now you can see on y-axis I have 1 by XA, right? So is equal to mx plus c. So on x-axis I am having 1 by Ya, on y-axis I am having 1 by XA. So 1 by XA versus 1 by. So this is in the form of y is equal to mx plus c type of graph. So it will be a straight line always, right? Making some intercept. So if they ask what is the slope and intercept, so what will be the value of slope? So slope value is m, which is PA naught by PB naught. Slope value is m, which is PA naught by PB naught. And what will be the value of intercept? So intercept value is PB naught minus PA naught by PB. So simple, it's not that difficult. Only thing is you need to derive the form, right? So in mole fraction, in vapor phase, mole fraction Ya is equal to P naught into XA by P. So I need to develop the relation in such a way that I need to get 1 by XA on y-axis, 1 by YA on y-axis, and this. Okay. So this will be option C. In this way you will be getting the graph. Coming to the next question. Question number 33. For an ideal binary solution of A and B, Ya is the mole fraction of A in vapor phase, then which of the following plots should be linear? So again this is also based on graph. So the graphs are given between total pressure and mole fraction of A in vapor phase. Total pressure and mole fraction of A in vapor phase. So again, so the correct answer will be option C, 1 by total pressure versus mole fraction of A in vapor phase. So when the graph is drawn between 1 by P versus mole fraction, we will be getting a linear graph, right? So again, they are asking mole fraction of A in vapor phase. So mole fraction of A in vapor phase is equal to PA0 into XA by total pressure. In the same way, total pressure means there will be both solution, there will be components A and B. In the same way, for mole fraction of B in vapor phase, YB is equal to PB0 into XB by total pressure P. So here I am having the mole fractions of A and B both in liquid phase and vapor phase. But I need the only mole fraction of A in vapor phase. So I don't need this XA and XB. So I can eliminate this XA and XB by using a simple point, that is total mole fraction is equal to 1. So if I get XA plus XB values here, that value will be 1, from which I can remove XA and XB. So write this equation in terms of XA and this equation in terms of XB. So what will be the value of XA here? The value of XA will be YA into P by PA0, and the value of XB will be YB into P by PB0. Now I am adding these two equations. XA plus XB is equal to YA into P by PA0 plus YB into P by PB0. So total mole fraction XA plus XB is equal to 1, and P, if I send this side, you will get 1 by P is equal to YA by PA0 plus YB by PB0. So I got 1 by P on y axis and YA on x axis. So it will be a straight line type of graph. In this way you will be getting 1 by P versus Y. So with the intercept value YB by PB0 and the slope value will be 1 by P0. Coming to the next question, question number 34. Which of the following represents correctly the change in thermodynamic properties during the formation of 1 mole of an ideal binary solution? So 4 options are given, where delta G on mixing, T delta S on mixing, and delta H on mixing. So these 3 are being asked in the question. So which will be true for an ideal solution? So joule per mole versus mole fraction. So how will we get the graph? Right. So first of all, how this will vary? Delta G on mixing must always be less than 0 for any type of solution. T delta S on mixing must always be greater than 0, and delta H on mixing must be equal to 0. Suppose this is the energy line where this is 0, so below will be negative and above will be positive. So this line represents delta H on mixing, which must be equal to 0, and positive will be for T delta S. This will be T delta S on mixing, and negative will be delta G on mixing. So where you see this graph, that will be the correct answer. So it is an option C. So option C will be the correct answer. Coming to the next question, question number 35. Dry air is passed through a solution containing 10 grams of solute in 90 grams of water, and then through pure water. the loss in mass of the solution is 2.5 grams and that of pure solvent is 0.05 grams, calculate the molecular weight of solute. So this is a question based on Ostwald and Walker method, which is experimental method used to calculate a relative lowering in vapor pressure. So we know that when a gas is made to pass through a solution, then it is made to pass through pure solvent, then it is made to pass through any anhydrous substance, like either it may be calcium chloride or it may be H2SO4, any substance. So in the series of reactions we will be calculating so how much amount of the solution will be lost, how much amount of the solvent will be lost, and anhydrous substance absorb all the moisture, so there will be increase in the mass of the tubes. And we know that loss in mass of solution bulbs. First, the gas will be made to pass through solution. So loss in mass of solution is directly proportional to the vapor pressure of solution. So what is the loss in mass of solution they have given? It is 2.5 grams. So this is proportional to 2.5 grams. Then it is made to pass through pure solvent. So loss in mass of pure solvent is directly proportional to P naught minus Ps, because the vapors will already be containing some vapors from solution. So if you want the mass of pure solvent, so it will be P naught minus Ps. So this value, loss in mass of pure solvent, is given as 0.05 grams. Now we need to determine molecular weight. So by applying Raoult's law, P naught minus Ps by P naught is equal to Nb by Na plus Nb. So the value of P naught minus Ps is directly 0.05. I need the value of P naught. How will I get the value of P naught? By adding these two. So Ps plus P naught minus Ps. If I add these two, you will get 2.5 plus 0.05. So these two gets cancelled. So the value of P naught will be 2.55. So the value of P naught is 2.55, which is equal to, so number of moles of solute. Number of moles of solute is mass by molar mass. So mass of the solute is taken as 10 grams by, we need to calculate the molar mass of the solute, by number of moles of solvent plus number of moles of solute. Number of moles of solvent. Solvent mass is 90 grams. So it is 90 by 18 plus 10 by 8. So this, on simplification, you will get the molar mass of solute will be 100. So if you simplify, you will get the molecular weight of the solute will be 100. So simple experiment. First the gas is made to pass through solution. So loss in mass of solution is directly proportional to vapor pressure of solution. So how much is loss? 2.5 grams. Then loss in mass of pure solvent is proportional to P naught minus Ps, which is given as 0.05 grams here. So using relative lowering in vapor pressure formula, P naught minus Ps by P naught is equal to mole fraction of solute, Nb by Na plus Nb. P naught minus Ps value is 0.05. By P naught I get by adding these two, so whose value is 2.55. So substituting number of moles from the given mass, we can calculate molecular weight of solute. So you will get molecular weight of solute as 100 grams. Coming to the next question, question number 36. When 3 grams of a non-volatile hydrocarbon containing 94.4% carbon is dissolved in 100 gram benzene, the vapor pressure of benzene is lowered from 9.953 kilopascals to 9.823 kilopascals. The molecular formula of hydrocarbons. So they are asking to calculate the molecular formula. But from the given information, I can calculate the molecular mass. So once I know the molecular mass, they are telling it is an hydrocarbon and the percentage of carbon is given. So the remaining will be the percentage of hydrogen because it is a hydrocarbon. I can calculate empirical formula. Once I know the empirical formula, I will be knowing the molecular mass. I can calculate the empirical formula mass from which I can calculate molecular formula. So let us see how to solve this problem. So 3 grams of non-volatile hydrocarbon. So mass of the solute is 3 grams. Containing 94.4% carbon is dissolved in 100 grams of benzene. Mass of solvent is 100 grams. The vapor pressure of benzene is lowered from 9.953 to 9.823. That means pure vapor pressure of benzene was 9.953 kilopascals. By the addition of solute, it is lowered to 9.823 kilopascals. So from 9.953, it is coming to 9.823. So what is the molecular formula? First we will calculate what is the molar mass of the solute. As the solvent is benzene, so we know that molar mass of benzene will be 78 gram per mole. So we will calculate the molar mass by using the formula P naught minus P by P naught is equal to mole fraction of solute. That is number of moles of solute by total number of moles. And the value of P naught is 9.953 minus P is 9.823 by P naught is 9.953, which is equal to number of moles of B is mass by molar mass. 3 by molar mass of solute I need to calculate by number of moles of A, mass by molar mass, 100 by 78 plus 3 by M. So this on simplification you will get the molar mass of solute. So on simplifying, you will get the molar mass of solute around 178 gram per mole. So approximately you will get the molar mass of solute is 178 gram per mole. So this is the molar mass of solute. Now what we need to calculate? We need to calculate molecular formula of the hydrocarbon. Now they are telling that it is an hydrocarbon and they have given the percentage of carbon. So carbon percentage is 94.4. So if carbon is 94.4, hydrogen must be 5.6. The remaining must be hydrogen. So in first we saw how to calculate empirical formula from the given percentage composition. So how will you calculate? So divide it with the atomic mass so that you will get the number of moles. So 94.4, here I am bringing it by 12 and 5.6 by 1. So 5.6 by 1 is 5.6, 94.4 by 12, so roughly you will get it around 7.87. Then which one is the least value? So we will be dividing with that. So this is 7.87 by 5.6. This is 5.6 by 5.6. So 7.87 by 5.6 will be around 1.4. So this will be around 1. So if I take the simplest whole number ratio, so this will be 7 and this will be 5. Simplest whole number ratio will be 7:5. So the empirical formula of the hydrocarbon will be C7H5. Simplest term formula will be C7H5. This is the empirical formula. So once you know empirical formula, you can calculate empirical formula mass. So what will be empirical formula mass here? So mass of carbon is 12. 12 7 is 84 plus 5 89. So empirical formula mass is 89. Already we calculated the molecular formula mass. Molecular formula mass is 178. So to calculate molecular formula, we need the value of N. So N is molecular formula mass by empirical formula mass, that is 178 by 89, which is equal to 2. Now empirical formula, molecular formula will be equal to empirical formula into N. So the empirical formula is C7H5 into 2, which is C14H10. So the molecular formula of the compound is C14H10. So the answer will be option B. Hope it is clear. From the given information, I will calculate molar mass of the solute first. Molar mass, molecular formula mass will be 178. Now they are telling it is a hydrocarbon where carbon percentage is 94.4. The remaining 5.6 will be hydrogen. So we know how to calculate empirical formula from the given percentages. So on calculating, we will get empirical formula is C7H5. So once you know empirical formula, you can calculate empirical formula mass. So which will be 89. Molecular formula mass already we have solved, it is 178. So we will calculate the value of N, which will be 2. So molecular formula is empirical formula into N. So you will get it as C14H10. So it will be option B. Coming to the next question, question number 37. Two solutions S1 and S2 are separated by a semi-permeable membrane. So I am having two solutions. So this is the semi-permeable membrane. This is solution S1, this is solution S2. S2 has lower vapor pressure than S1. So vapor pressure of S2 is less when compared to the vapor pressure of S1. Then what happens? So the options they are telling us whether the solvent will flow from S1 to S2 or whether it will flow from S2 to S1 or the both will be flowing at equal rates or no flow takes place. These are the four options given. So how to solve this problem? So whenever there is a semi-permeable membrane which is separating two solutions, so there will be process of osmosis taking place. So we know that osmosis always takes place from a solution of lower concentration to higher concentration. But here concentrations are not mentioned. Instead vapor pressures are mentioned. So we need to know what is the relation between vapor pressure and concentration. So how it is related, children? Vapor pressure and concentration are inversely proportional. So concentration is more indicates there is more amount of solute. When solute concentration is increasing, vapor pressure will be decreasing. Right? So vapor pressure and concentration are inversely proportional. That means concentration, molarity let us say. So molarity of solution 1 will be less than molarity of solution 2. So as solution 1 is having lesser concentration and this is having more concentration, the solvent will flow from first solution to second solution. So the solvent will be flowing from S1 to S2 because osmosis, when osmosis is taking place, there will be always flow of solvent from lower concentration solution to higher concentrated solution. So the answer will be option A.